Well, hello there, welcome back to another Qlizard video. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time, but my hands just haven't been in the greatest position. They are pretty okay now. The topic of this video is actually going to be like played cards, like the conditions of cards. And so technically, you know, if you know what I'm talking about with played cards, my hands right now would be like lightly played before they were damaged because, I mean, just a little backstory. I've been, you know, some of you might be thinking, oh, your hands have not been in good condition. Like, they've been dry, they've been cracking, they've been bleeding, and it's been really bad. Right now, it's like, okay, you still see a little bit of dryness and a little bit, but for the most part, they're okay. And you might be thinking, oh, it's because maybe I've been using my hands a lot, maybe washing them in, like, soap and water a lot. Maybe I've been working at a job that requires a lot of hand washing, maybe at a restaurant, maybe, you know, in a healthcare setting. And no, I mean, one of those might be the reason, but the main reason is because of overwhelming stress. Indeed. You know, last probably just 8 years, very stressful. And, you know, it just gets more stressful every year to year to year. And, like, even now, like, you know, this year been the most stressful year of my life. And you would think that, you know, it gets better. But no, like, literally these last few weeks have been the most stressful weeks of, like, my life. So stressful. But I've been trying to manage my dry skin. Right now, again, it's in a pretty good condition. You know, just quick tip for people who have dry hands, bro. Or dry hands, dry face. My face has also been dry. You know, I went to immunologist. Maybe has something to do with eczema. And so they recommended me using some, like, just moisturizer for the face, for the hands. Not sponsored, but they recommend a Vanity cream just because it's for sensitive skin. It doesn't have all this, like, dyes and stuff. To be 100% honest, don't really notice the difference. But, you know, lotion and moisturizing is better than nothing. And Vaseline, they recommended that as well. And of course, you know, prescription stuff that I'm not going to get into. But, you know, Vaseline is good here because it's just makes your skin so that it doesn't. Anyways, why am I getting skincare? Who cares? We're talking about conditions. Again, the condition, literally just the condition of my hands have prevented me from making this video for a long time. But I'm going to make it now, I suppose. So yeah, what do I want to talk about? I've been wasting a lot of money, which means I've been getting back into Pokemon cards, which wastes a lot of money. And I've been buying a lot of Pokemon cards off of TCGPlayer. And I just want to talk about card conditions in this video. Basically, card conditions is like when you buy cards, you're gonna notice that they're gonna be in different conditions. Or if you have cards, you know that, you know, some cards are damaged, some cards are, you know, mint new, and so there's many different tiers. I'm not really gonna get into graded cards, because you guys kind of know what happened. Maybe what happened to the last graded card. But anyways, I'm gonna talk about just general, like, card condition. You know, just what they call near mint. Basically, near mint is anything you just, you know, you pull right out the pack. Near mint, you know, it is essentially, near mint to me is like brand new, you know, or it doesn't have any scratches, it doesn't have any scuffs, doesn't have any scrapes, doesn't have any wear and tear on the sides. That's near mint. When we get lightly played is exactly what it sounds like. Imagine you have a card and, you know, you play it, you use it for a long time, you use it in a deck, you know, for a long time. Also, I have so much plans now that my hands are in a decent condition. I have so much plans, like, just sneak peek. You know, you might need to catch up in the Trainer Qlizard channel. But I have some things coming up here. And of course, you know, I have some poppin' videos. Honestly, this video here is like a PSA video. I should have made this, like, as soon as it happened, but, you know, we'll digress. And of course, the most influential game of the millennium. I mean, I gotta make a video about that. But anyways, when you play cards, you know, generally you have them in sleeves, but then eventually they get wear and tear. You know, you shuffle a lot, and the wear and tear happens to your card. And, you know, lightly played is exactly what it sounds like. It's cards that have been, you know, have a little bit of wear, a little bit of tear on them just from general play, or maybe you don't have them in sleeves and, you know, you pass them along here or there, you know, general wear and tear, just a little bit though. Okay, really lightly played and near mint, there's like a fine line in between them. Like maybe near mint card, you're allowed one little white mark on the border, but once it has like two or more, That's what, you know, I would consider near mint. This is all subjective, by the way. This is what my definition of, you know, near mint, lightly played is. Obviously, if you look online, you look at the TCG, they have, you know, a whole section about card conditions. But that's just my definition. When we get to moderately played, now we're getting into cards that have been played for like have a pretty decent amount of wear and tear on them. Not a little bit, I'm talking about a lot. It doesn't affect the integrity of the cards. The cards are still, you know, kind of straight. And, you know, you put them in the sleeve, it kind of holds its shape. But moderately played, we're getting to the point where there's a lot of wear and tear, like a good amount. Heavily played, heavily played for me, it's cards that have immense amount of plays, or immense amount of wear and tear. I'm talking cards that, you know, you just use a lot, like especially when you look at a lot of childhood cards or children that play Pokemon cards or any cards in general. It could be Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, whatever. It's gonna be those cards that, again, they're straight. There's no creases. There's no scratches. There's no creases. Maybe there's a few scratches. Maybe there's a few or a lot of wear and tear. The corners might start. You see a lot of whites, like a lot of white, because when, you know, the cards get damaged, the corners get a little bit of white on them. Oh, that's not a good example. Corners get a little bit of white on them, and so that's when you get to heavily played. There's a lot of wear, a lot of tear, and then you get the straight up damage cards. Now, damage to me is when you have creases, when you have you know, when you have a crease, when you have like a bend of some sort, or like it looks like someone sat on it, or like sun damage, or like a deep cut, you know, light scratches on the surface. You know, I might consider that, you know, lightly played, moderately played, heavily played. But I'm talking about deep cuts. Now we're getting into territory of damage. Now a card can be completely clean, like it could be completely straight. It can have no white marks, no wear and tear, but it has a little bit of a crease on the corner. I'd consider that damage. I mean, you know, damage to me is if it has a little bit of like a crease or something, that's damage. Even if the rest of the card's completely straight, it can still be damage. So obviously there could be like a wide range, for me, a wide range of cards that can be considered damage. Like it can be completely new looking, but have a little bit of crease, that's damage. Or it can have a ton of wear and tear and have a little bit of a crease. That's also damage, right? But anyway, that's my definition, and I'm just buying a bunch of cards from TCGPlayer, and I want to buy a lot of cards from my collection. Again, I showed that like binder with a bunch of, you know, Rayquazas, right? And of course, the channel mascot, almost at this point, you know, I like my Zinnias, right? And so this card is not cheap, right? It's not a cheap card, it's an old card. What year is this from? 2018. All right, so from the time of recording this is a 6-year-old card, or 6-year-old set, I should say. And you know, I want to buy a playset. I technically have a playset here, but I wanted to buy a playset of this particular card because, as you know, I really like Zinnia. If you've been on this channel for like, I don't know, more than 30 seconds, you know I like Zinnia, right? And so the Zinnia that are near mint, when they're near mint, this one is near mint. I bought it as near mint. They're, you know, they're how expensive they are. You know, it's not a cheap card. But then I look over at lightly played. This one is lightly played because I wrote on a sticky note lightly played so I can remember for this video. This one I bought is lightly played. I made a gamble. The lightly played cards are a decent amount cheaper than the near mint cards. And so I wanted to do a test. If I buy a lightly played Zinnia, and I like, how does it compare to near mint cards in general and near mint Zinnias? So I bought these from two different sellers. This one's near mint, this one's lightly played. And let's see, I want to compare it with you what these cards look like. By the way, the other three in these binders are also, or the other two in these are near mint. We're not going to be talking about those in particular. We're going to be talking about this one. So right off the bat, when you buy a near mint card, you're going to notice, this one's pretty clean. Pretty clean, pretty straight, no scuffs and no corners, no whites. That's the important part. For me, I look for white. If there's any white on the corners, that's a little bit of a sign of wear and tear. Again, you're not seeing any whites, are you? So it's pretty straight. You notice any scratches, no white marks. The white marks are the most obvious parts of any cards that are heavily played or played, right? And then if we look at the front here, again, observe, notice. I know this is in a penny sleeve and it's also in the top loader, so there's tons of glare. Let me take it out here. I don't care if I damage the card. I mean, at this point, I bought it, so like, if I damage the card, unlucky. Usually people do that. There we go. People just slam it against their arm. And then let's take it out here. And I mean, if you look, it's pretty clean. Pretty clean. Now, I do have a funny story about this card. I dropped it. I literally took it out of the sleeve and I dropped it on the ground and it hit the side of my desk. And so if you look super closely, I don't know where the mark is, but there's a little bit of a scuff on the top here where it hit on the ground. But for the most part, this card is pretty clean, pretty straight. You know, this I would consider near mint. So this is a near mint card. They sold it to me as near mint. I would consider it near mint. You know, a little bit of bend, but that's what you expect out of, holographic cards. So you know what? I'm happy about this purchase. I purchased it as a near mint, and it came to me as near mint. I dropped it on the ground. So, it is what it is. It's near mint. It looks pretty clean. I'm pretty happy about this. There we go. Can finally put it in the binder. This was the second one I bought, by the way. The first one I bought was the lightly played one. Oh, put it in. Oh, I'm not going to put it in because it's not in. I don't want to put them in penny sleeves. Okay. Exhibit number 2. Technically the first Zinnia I bought. This one's a lightly played one. Okay, this one's a lightly played one. Now, what's the difference? I bought this lightly played. So, let's see what it looks like. All right, let's put this near mint one to the side. I'm not going to be using this in the video anymore, but that's what you expect out of a near mint card. No scratch, no scrapes, no wear and tear, no white marks. Everything looking pretty clean. Near mint Zinnia, we're happy about that purchase. This was lightly played. I bought this as lightly played. All right, and I was gonna make a whole thing. I had a whole bit planned for this video about saying like, oh, you have to trust me about all these cards I buy near mint, I buy lightly played. You have to trust me, and then I was gonna make some whole bit about this Call of Legends box, and but that bit would take too long to really talk about. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is I'm not lying about anything I say about this video. Why would I lie about card conditions for a video? This is actually like what I bought these cards as. I'm gonna show more cards later, but this is actually what I bought them as. So you're just gonna have to take my word for it. I hope you can trust me when I talk about this stuff. But anyways, this is lightly played Zinnia. Now, you know what? We're just going to take it out of the sleeve. We're just going to take it here. Oh, yeah, we got to do that. Do that thing where we hit it against our arm. All right. Lightly played Zinnia. Take it out of the sleeve. Let's observe it with the sleeve on. Again, when I look at how damaged a card is, I always look at the back. If you go to a card shop or you look at your own cards, the first place to look at is the back. Because it's hard to notice any scrapes and wear on the front, but if you look at the back, you get a good idea. Okay, so again, I know the lighting might not be the crystal clear here, but if you look, if you look here, it's pretty straight, right? Like that's a nice bit of light there, I think. Like it looks pretty straight, huh? Maybe not the cleanest card, but if you're looking at the whites of it, like that's pretty, that's pretty straight. That's pretty clean to me. And then we look at the front and like, honestly, it's kind of the same way. Let's take it out of the sleeve, the penny sleeve. But yeah, if you look at this card, again, I bought this as lightly played and I paid lightly played money for it. Okay, so I did not buy this as near mint, and I paid lightly played price for it. Like it's pretty clean. Yeah, I bought this card. It's pretty clean. Do you guys notice any like scuffs and scrapes on it? It's pretty good. So yeah, I bought this as lightly played, and sometimes this happens. Sometimes you buy lightly played cards and they come out and they're pretty clean. They end up being pretty clean. What happened to the other Zinnia? Oh, there it is. So yeah, I was gonna make this whole video comparing about like lightly played cards and near mint cards, and it so happened that the lightly played Zinnia I bought is honestly pretty straight, pretty clean. I consider this, to my naked eye, I'm not using a microscope or anything, I would consider this a pretty near mint. And so yeah, sometimes you just buy cards that are set as lightly played and they straight up come as near mint. And so yeah, I essentially what I'm trying to say is I paid lightly played price for a near mint card, or what I'd consider near mint. And so this was a pretty happy purchase for me. Like and I've talked with card shop owners, and they say like a lot of times when they send cards out, a lot of, because nowadays a lot of people buy cards to like grade or buy cards for their collection, and a lot of people complain about card conditions. Like, everyone thinks of themselves as like a grader, and they're like, oh, they look at a card and they're like, oh, that card is, is not near mint, it's likely played or moderately played. And so the shop owner I was talking to, sells most of their cards as lightly played, so they don't get it alleviates the complaints they get. Sure, they're might lose a little bit of money, but at the end of the day, they're not gonna get those complaints because everyone is, tried to devalue other people's cards. And so the seller here may have had that kind of idea in mind, where they're just gonna sell their cards as lightly played, even though they're pretty straight, so that they don't get a lot of pushback from people who buy their cards. But anyways, I'm pretty happy with the Zinnia. Again, yeah, so sometimes you buy cards that are lightly played, and they might end up being near mint. But that's not all. Again, I delayed this video for a long time, which means I've bought in a lot more cards, which means I have a lot more stuff to talk about here. Okay, so I've talked about the good, which is the Zinnias. In my opinion, if you're going to buy cards for your collection, you probably want to buy stuff that are near mint. Okay, cards that are near mint, because if you're okay with lightly played cards and moderately played cards, sometimes those cards are a little bit too damaged, and if you're gonna have it for your collection, you have to think about whether or not you're okay with stuff that's damaged. And buying stuff online near mint and moderately played, it could be a little bit more damaged than you would think. And also, buying cards that are near mint might not come as near mint. All right, so another example I have are these energies. These are energies. These are common energies from Heart Gold Soul Silver, which is from the year 2010. So these are like 14 years old. So I've been buying a lot of common energies. Now, these are common energies. The reason why I'm buying these energies is because, I want to bling out my deck, but I like common cards. Now, why do I like common cards? Why do I like cards that are not hollow? This brings me back to my Yu-Gi-Oh days, all right? I'm going to put out some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. These are Constellar cards. And I just like common cards because they don't warp. So like these cards here are super old. These are Constellar cards, Sombre, Pollux. These are from Hidden Arsenal. These are from Lord Attack on Galaxy, I believe. Wait, is it Lord Attack on Galaxy? Lord Attack on Galaxy. And then these are from Star Pack. These are were from Hidden Arsenal 7, I believe. This one is Shadow Foil. But these are from Star Pack. So they're from the same set, but they got reprinted as common and I guess Shadow Foil. In a Star Pack. But when you look at cards like these are common and these are hollow, and these are a perfect example of, if I flip them like this, so I'm gonna put these cards in a weird kind of orientation, you can see, oh yeah, that's the money shot right there. You can see the amount of kind of bend that these cards have. Like, because they're hollow, they kind of warp, especially where I live is a little bit more humid on the humid side. But if you look at common cards, there's a lot less warpage. There still might be a little bit of warpage, especially since these cards were sandwiched. I guess is not the greatest example, because these cards were literally sandwiched in between these cards. And so, but yeah, where's that money shot again? So yeah, when you compare these two stacks, like you can notice the one on my right hand is a little bit taller than the one on my left hand, just simply because of, hollow cards kind of warp. And I have an even better example here of Tenkies. Tenkies are also cards that you use because these cards search for a level 4 Beast Warrior. And guess what's a level 4 Beast Warrior? Constellar Costs, my favorite Constellar card. But anyways, enough about Yu-Gi-Oh! Look at these. These are non-hollow, but they have like special lettering. So while these are not like holographic, they're not ultimate rares. Ultimate rares are the best Tenkies in terms of rarity. But they're kind of bling. look at this. Come on, guys. Look at these. Don't these look clean? Look at that. And they're non-hollow, so they don't warp. Right? Look how like non-warp they are. That's pretty nice. And then I have holographic Tenkies here. All right. And sure, there might not be a lot of warping there, but look at that bowing. That you see that bowing that it has. If I put these normal fire formation on, you can see like the top ones have a lot less bowing than the bottom ones. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is I like common cards. I don't like holographic cards because they tend to warp. And so I'm blinging my deck out with common energies, because even though they're common, they're a little bit expensive. Regardless, I've been buying energies, and when I buy cards for decks, I'm buying them, because I'm putting them in sleeves for my decks. I don't mind if they're a little bit wear and tear on them. So I'm buying them as lightly played, moderately played, even heavily played. And yeah, this is where I'm running into a few issues. Now, these energies I bought as near mint. All right, remember that lightly played Zinnia, how clean it was? Let me show you how these lightly played or these near mint energies look. All right, already you see a little bit of wear and tear on that corner. You can see a little bit of wear and tear on the bottom corner. You can see a little bit more wear and tear on this corner. And then you can see a little bit more wear in this corner. All right, so already looking at this card, would you agree that this card is more damaged than that lightly played Zinnia? I bought this as near mint, by the way. I paid near mint prices. Look at that corner wear and tear. More wear and tear on that corner. You can see on the side here, that's a little bit of white. And again, that corner is a little bit damaged too. And then again, this third near mint energy, look at that. A little bit of wear and tear there. And then a little bit of wear on that corner. So, again, these energies are old. They're a lot older than that Zinnia. But at the end of the day, they are still, they're still being sold as near mint. And I would not consider these cards as near mint. I would consider these cards more lightly played. They're not damaged. They're not awful. But they're not near mint, all right? And when it comes to these Celebi energies, a lot of these energies, I'm buying them as moderately played. And some of these moderately played energies look fantastic, okay? Again, if you look at this, a lot of these, again, I didn't buy many of these lightly played. So this could be a lightly played one. If I bought any lightly played one. But look at that corner. It's not bad, right? Look at that corner too, not bad. This corner is pretty clean. This corner, maybe a little bit of scuff, but that corner is pretty clean. Again, a lot of these grass energies I'm buying as moderately played. So sometimes you might buy a moderately played card and it looks pretty clean. And then this is another good example. Again, I'm not sure if I bought them any of near mint, but that corner is a little bit something. That corner is a little bit something. That corner is pretty clean. That corner is pretty clean. Like this card I'll consider as not near mint, but lightly played, right? So pretty clean. And then you get kind of the bad stuff here. I bought this energy as, let's say, this energy as damage. And I am kind of sad about this energy. I mean, first off, just looking at it, you can see that there's a white scratch right on top there when the other ones don't have a white scratch. All right, so this one I bought as damage. And yeah, you can see already, yeah, when the light hits it, you can definitely see like, yeah, this card has been through it. This card has been through it. And if you look at the back here, yep, a lot of wear and tear, lot of wear and tear. Literally the whole sides of the card here, a lot of wear and tear. Look at this, right? Now this card, I bought it as heavily played, and honestly, yeah, I'd consider it heavily played. Again, that scratch on the front is the most bothersome part of it, because when you put it in the sleeve, you're not really noticing the sides. So I paid damage money for this, and I came out damaged. And now this guy is the most offensive card of the lot. I have a lot of these energies, and I mean, literally, you can already see it through the sleeve. You see that? See that right there? Oh yeah. You see that like crease on it? Oh yeah. Let me take it out of the sleeve so you guys can appreciate the crease. And then, no, oh no, oh no. Yeah, when the light hits it, you can definitely see it being a little bit bent. And then, of course, the corners, tons of wear and tear. Look at that corner. That corner is awful. And then this corner, I mean, look, it's like peeling back. All right. Guess what? Did I buy this as damaged? Nope. Did I buy this as heavily played? Nope. I bought this as moderately played. Yep. So sometimes you get moderately played cards that look like, I mean, look at it. It's literally ruined the integrity of my sleeve. Look at that. It's awful. Again, I kind of want to make this concise because I've been talking a lot already in this video. But when it comes to cards that you're going to use in decks, right? Sometimes you might buy a moderately played card and it might be pretty clean. Sometimes you might buy a near mint card and, it's not near mint. It's straight up just not near mint. Sometimes you might buy moderately played cards and heavily played cards and they're just kind of unacceptable. Sometimes the damaged cards might be more acceptable than the moderately played cards. So again, it's when you buy from different sellers, they just have different opinions of how to grade condition of cards. And so anyways, bottom line is, when it comes, again, this is kind of the final message I want to leave in this video, because this is what I've learned after buying so much cards from TCGPlayer here, is that if you're buying cards for your collection, you can kind of buy them in whatever condition you want, really. In my opinion, obviously, if you want the cards to look clean, you want to pay the extra money for near mint cards. Sometimes the near mint cards might not end up being near mint, especially if they're older. But sometimes when you buy new cards that are lightly played, they might be pretty clean. But you just have to kind of risk it depending on the seller. If you know sellers are selling cards that are near mint and they look super clean, I already forgot which was near mint or which one was lightly played. But let's say this one's the lightly played one. I bought this as lightly played. I paid lightly played prices, and the card came out pretty clean. And so I know, like, okay, this seller is a good seller. But sometimes when you buy near mint cards in the set, and the cards are not really near mint, then you can just avoid sellers. So a lot of these sellers, I'm never gonna buy from their stuff ever again. But yeah, anyways, bottom line, if you're buying cards for your collection, you just have to see it how it is. Some sellers have pictures of their cards. Those sellers are goated, by the way. They have pictures of their cards so you can see the condition of the card beforehand. And those are really good. But yeah, you just have to, if you're buying cards for your collection, doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, you probably want near mint cards and lightly played cards. You want to gamble that. But when it comes to cards for your decks, honestly, I don't recommend buying near mint cards, old near mint cards, if you're going to use them for your deck. Just because sometimes they put them as near mint, but they might be a little bit more, damaged than you'd want them to be. And also, I wouldn't really buy damaged or heavily played cards for your decks, because sometimes they might end up being like literally scratched up on the front, and so they're kind of ugly. Or when you buy cards that are this is moderately played. I didn't even buy this as heavily played or damaged. I bought this as moderately played, and it could be a little bit like creased, which look pretty ugly. And so yeah, when you buy cards like for your decks, especially old cards like these energies, I would honestly recommend you buy them lightly played. Lightly played is probably the perfect point where you're not paying too much money for a near mint card, but you might be getting a pretty gosh darn good looking card. Sometimes the near mint cards might even be lightly played already, so might as well pay lightly played prices for lightly played cards, especially if they're old cards that you're going to be using in your deck, because you're going to be damaging anyways if you're going to be using them in your deck. I do kind of recommend moderately played cards. I would kind of stay away from moderately played cards, because sometimes you might hit something like this where it's damaged, or sometimes you might hit a really clean card like these energies. I'm pretty sure are moderately played, but they're pretty clean. And so moderately played, could be okay, but it just depends on the seller. If you're gonna buy cards for your decks, then yeah, I definitely prefer lightly played, moderately played, kind of, and of course near mint if it's not too expensive. But yeah, anyways, that's the bottom line, is that yeah, sometimes you might hit good lightly played prices, get pretty good condition cards. Sometimes you might pay a premium and get essentially damaged cards. But yeah, you just have to sometimes you have to risk it, and that's what I learned. So anyways, yeah, going forward, I'll probably buy cards for my collection. I'll probably buy them for the most part near mint. Sometimes I might get lucky with a lightly played card, but it's a bit safer just buy near mint. And for cards I'm going to use in my deck, definitely going to stick with a lightly played if possible. Gonna probably stay away from near mint. Probably gonna stay away from damage and heavily played, and maybe I'll risk it with a moderately played from time to time. Anyway, that's it for the video. I know it's a long video, but I just wanted to talk about a few things.